Early life and career. Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who would later become known as Pope Francis, was born on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was the eldest of 5 children born to Italian immigrants, Mario and Regina Bergoglio. Growing up in a middle-class family, young Jorge had a strong Catholic upbringing, attending Catholic schools throughout his childhood. In his early life, Bergoglio worked a number of odd jobs to help support his family. As a teenager, he worked as a bouncer at a nightclub, and later worked as a chemical technician and a lab assistant. Despite these early jobs, he always felt called to serve the church. At the age of 21, Bergoglio experienced a profound spiritual awakening while on a retreat. He decided to join the Society of Jesus, a religious order of priests founded by Saint Ignatius of Loyola. He entered the Jesuit novitiate in 1958 and took his first vows 2 years later. After completing his initial studies, Bergoglio began his priestly ministry in 1969. His early ministry was marked by a deep commitment to social justice and outreach to marginalized communities. He served as a chaplain to a number of groups, including the elderly, the sick, and the homeless. In 1973, Bergoglio was appointed Provincial Superior of the Jesuits in Argentina. In this role, he oversaw the work of the Jesuits throughout the country, including their social outreach programs. He was known for his leadership and his emphasis on social justice. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, Argentina was going through a difficult period. The country was under the control of a military dictatorship known as the National Reorganization Process, Proceso de Reorganización Nacional in Spanish, which governed Argentina from 1976 to 1983. The dictatorship was responsible for widespread human rights violations, including the disappearance, torture, and murder of thousands of people, as well as other abuses of power. Bergoglio spoke out against the dictatorship, advocating for human rights and condemning the violence. Bergoglio was appointed Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires in 1992, and in 1998, he became Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires. In this role, he continued his commitment to social justice and outreach to marginalized communities. He worked to improve the living conditions of the poor and marginalized in Buenos Aires, and he was known for his humility and his willingness to listen to others. Throughout his career, Bergoglio was known for his simplicity and his commitment to living a simple life. He eschewed many of the trappings of wealth and power, choosing instead to live in a small apartment and travel by bus. He is known for his accessibility and his willingness to meet with people from all walks of life. Throughout his life and ministry, Pope Francis has remained committed to the values of the Gospel, particularly the call to serve the poor and the marginalized. His early experiences of working odd jobs and his deep commitment to social justice have shaped his life and ministry, and have made him a beloved figure to millions of people around the world. Election as Pope. On March 13, 2013, Jorge Mario Bergoglio was elected as the 266th Pope of the Catholic Church, taking the name Pope Francis. He was the first Pope from the Americas, the first Jesuit Pope, and the first to take the name Francis. Pope Francis' election came as a surprise to many, as he was not among the front-runners for the position. The conclave of cardinals had gathered to elect a new pope following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, who had stepped down due to health reasons. In the days leading up to the election, many observers had predicted that the next pope would likely come from Europe, where the majority of the world's Catholics reside. However, on the fifth ballot of the conclave, Pope Francis was elected with a clear majority of votes. His election was seen as a break from tradition, as he was the first pope from outside Europe in over 1,200 years. Immediately after his election, Pope Francis made headlines with his humility and simplicity. Instead of wearing the traditional red cape, he appeared on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica wearing a simple white cassock. He also bowed and asked the crowd to pray for him, rather than bestowing a blessing on them first. In his first address to the faithful as Pope, Pope Francis emphasized the need for unity and dialogue within the Church and with people of all faiths. He spoke of the importance of caring for the poor and marginalized, and of protecting the environment. His message of compassion and concern for social justice has been a hallmark of his papacy ever since. Pope Francis' election as Pope has been hailed as a turning point for the Catholic Church. His emphasis on humility and simplicity has helped to make the papacy more accessible and relevant to people around the world. His commitment to social justice and interfaith dialogue has helped to bridge the gap between the Church and those who had felt alienated or excluded by its teachings. And his efforts to reform the Vatican bureaucracy have signaled a new era of accountability and transparency in the Church's governance. As Pope Francis approaches a decade as the leader of the Catholic Church, his impact on the Church and on the world continues to be felt. His message of love, compassion, and social justice has inspired millions of people around the globe, and his legacy as a humble servant of the Church and of humanity is secure. Papacy and Key Accomplishments. After his election, Pope Francis quickly established himself as a leader with a unique vision for the Catholic Church. He has taken bold and unprecedented steps to tackle some of the Church's most pressing issues, earning both praise and criticism from Catholics and non-Catholics alike. One of his key accomplishments has been his emphasis on social justice and care for the poor. Pope Francis has repeatedly called on the Church and society as a whole to address the growing income inequality and poverty that affects millions of people around the world. He has also criticized the excesses of capitalism, warning that an economic system that puts profits above people is a threat to human dignity. Another major accomplishment of Pope Francis has been his efforts to reform the Vatican bureaucracy, or the Curia. He has sought to make the Curia more efficient, transparent, and accountable, and has taken steps to combat corruption and financial mismanagement. He has also appointed several women to high-ranking positions in the Vatican, signaling a commitment to gender equality and the role of women in the Church. Pope Francis has also taken a more compassionate and understanding approach to social issues, particularly with regards to homosexuality and divorce. He has called for a more pastoral approach to these issues, emphasizing the importance of inclusion and compassion over judgment and exclusion. He has also spoken out against the marginalization and discrimination faced by LGBT individuals and has encouraged the Church to be more welcoming to them. The Church has not changed its millenary vision related to these matters, but the new approach brought by Pope Francis is that we cannot help souls if we remove them from our circle of relationships. The idea is that such behaviors continue to be considered sins, but there is an understanding that As humans, sins are inevitable, and as brothers we must be tolerant with our neighbor, help them to lead its life in the best possible way, and for that, Christians should be more tolerant. In addition to these accomplishments, Pope Francis has also been a vocal advocate for environmental sustainability and has called on the world's leaders to take action to address the global climate crisis. He has emphasized the need to protect the earth and its resources for future generations, and has called on individuals and governments to make changes to their lifestyles and policies to promote sustainability. Overall, Pope Francis has brought a fresh perspective and approach to the papacy, emphasizing the Church's role in promoting social justice, caring for the poor, and advocating for human dignity. His accomplishments have been significant, but he also faces ongoing challenges and criticisms, particularly from those who resist his efforts to reform the Church and its traditions. Nonetheless, he continues to inspire millions of people around the world with his message of compassion, inclusion, and social justice. Controversies and Legacy. While Pope Francis has been widely praised for his reformist and inclusive approach to leadership, his papacy has also been marked by several controversies. One of the most significant controversies came in 2018, when Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, a former Vatican diplomat, released a letter accusing the Pope of covering up allegations of sexual misconduct by former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. Vigano claimed that he had personally informed Pope Francis of the allegations in 2013, but that the Pope had ignored his warnings and rehabilitated McCarrick, who was later defrocked in 2019. The controversy raised questions about the Vatican's handling of sexual abuse allegations and led to calls for greater transparency and accountability within the Church. Another controversy arose in 2019, when Pope Francis became the first pope to visit the Arabian Peninsula, a region known for its strict interpretation of Islam. While the visit was seen as a significant milestone for interfaith dialogue and cooperation, some conservative Catholics criticized the Pope for compromising on key Church teachings in order to appease Muslim leaders. In particular, some critics took issue with a document signed by Pope Francis and Sheikh Ahmed El-Tayeb, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, which called for religious tolerance and condemned violence in the name of religion. Some conservative Catholics saw this as a betrayal of traditional Catholic teachings on religious exclusivity and the importance of evangelization. Despite these controversies, Pope Francis' papacy has been marked by several significant accomplishments and initiatives. One of the most notable of these was the signing of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change in 2015, which was widely praised as a major step forward in the global fight against climate change. Pope Francis has also been a vocal advocate for social justice and economic reform, often calling for a more equitable distribution of wealth and resources both within and between countries. In 2020, he published the encyclical Fratelli Tutti, which called for a renewed commitment to universal brotherhood and social solidarity in the face of global challenges like poverty, inequality, and the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition to his work on climate change and social justice, Pope Francis has also made several notable changes to Church doctrine and practice during his papacy. In 2016, he issued a decree allowing priests to absolve women who have had abortions, a significant departure from previous Church teachings. He has also called for a greater role for women in the Church, although some critics argue that his efforts have not gone far enough. In 2019, he changed the Church's official teaching on the death penalty, calling it inadmissible in all cases, a position that marked a significant departure from the Church's traditional stance on the issue. As Pope Francis approaches the end of his papacy, many are already beginning to reflect on his legacy. His emphasis on social justice, inclusivity, and care for the environment has won him praise from many progressive Catholics and non-Catholics alike. However, his efforts to reform the Church have also faced resistance from more conservative factions within the Church, and it remains to be seen how much lasting change he will be able to achieve. Nevertheless, his papacy has already left a significant mark on the Church and the world, and his influence is likely to be felt for many years to come.